It is another episode on 11th Hour, and today joining us during the 11th Hour is a distinguished guest who happens to be a President's Council, former Chairman, Consumer Affairs Authority, former Ambassador to Israel and UAE, President also of the Ambassadors Forum, and an author of 2 books on consumer law and many interesting articles based on the very subject, which could be easily retrieved through the internet, has been written by this distinguished personality, is none other than President's Council, Mr. Sarath Wijesinghe. Good morning. We are privileged to have you on our show.
Good morning, Sabrina. Thank you for the nice, elaborated comments on me. Thank you so much. I hope I am entitled to it.
Of course, sir, and I'm honored to be a part of this show as well, to interview you, and there are many concerns to inquire from you. So let me start off with my very first question. Sir, the consumer laws and regulations help increase consumer welfare by all means, ensuring that an enterprise, or rather business, can be held accountable. Considering this, the consumer law, to what extent is it important for the general public to be aware of?
Sabrina, it's important to everybody, in the sense every citizen is a consumer here. So this it's a must for anybody in the society, maybe in Sri Lanka or mostly in the out of Sri Lanka, where they are very active and vibrant, but not us, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. This piece of legislation was introduced in 2003, which long overdue for a change, which when I was the Chairman Consumer Affairs Authority, I did my best to change, and I hope at least now the present governance will take steps to change it, because now because things have changed, because the introduction of digitalization and introduction of new platforms, things have changed. Now it's completely outdated and archaic. Point 1. Point 2 is it's so necessary for the people, for the citizen, to protect themselves, to protect themselves from drugs, from food, from vegetables, and also from errant traders, exactly. And also traders. You see, this is not, there's a misconception there is a consumer protection law, which is not so. They call consumer affairs law, which protects the consumer, of course, and also they protects the trader as well. And then it based on the competition law. We had earlier, I think you will be questioning me in future, Sabrina, as to the legality of this one and the price control. The concern as well. You see, before the introduction of this, we had the thing called price control scenario.
That was previously. Right.
There were about 4 or 5 legislation which was replaced by this. Of course, before that, this was completely English law, which is still practiced in England.
So is there like a favorable approach with the new concept being introduced?
I'm a bit critical on that, because really this piece of legislation was brought in by Honorable Lalit Atanathpudali, one of the greatest men at that time. Of course, in base of intentions, it's an amalgamation of Australian, Canadian, English and laws, which deals with regulation. You see, it's a complete concept of change from price control to price regulation.
Right.
So therefore, whether it is practicable or whether it is successful is left to the consumer. But to my view, it has not been, because the desired effects are not given, but having
highlighted, kind of.
Not applicable.
Right.
But having said that, things change, the world changes, and it has to be changed. It is time to change.
So that approach is a necessity.
That is the necessity.
Right. Moving on to the second question, sir. Although economic freedom-related concerns are followed, price controls are still perceived to be an effective form of market governance. Your valuable explanation on same?
Well, it's market governance, so it's market economy now. It's so-called free economy. So in the free economy, of course, the consumer and the consumer authority, consumerism plays a very active role.
Of course.
Which is positively active in other countries. Take for example UK. We got the legislation from UK initially. You see, this legislation is based on the activism of the consumer. Consumer should be active, and he should organize themselves.
So how can we be more vigilant in this aspect? I'll
come to it, Sabrina. Now, that is happening in the other part of the world. For example, in UK, this famous Coca-Cola, they took water from Thames River. And then who protested? Media.
They did it.
Media protested. And they knelt down, and then they gave it up. So that shows how powerful the media and the consumer is.
Correct.
You see, but it says, now the act says that even the consumer authority must encourage getting them organized. But it is not being done. Now, for example, now it's a very sorry state to say that there are so many organizations all over for human rights, for that and this, but not for the consumer and consumerism, which is so important. See what we eat, see what we drink, all junk food. You see what they call away drink, and then the food the fruits everywhere you get.
Sadly, though.
Sadly, it's very sad. But who is responsible? It should be the consumer authority. It should be. There are so many regulators like the consumer authority, the public authorities, and then public health inspectors, municipal councils, health department, other people. Of course, there are so many who are responsible. Consumer affairs being the main regulator. There are so many regulators here,
correct,
as mentioned. So the main regulator, well, I can't be. I have been once the chairman. I have to be, critical when I should be critical.
Correct.
And I should say that when they are not active, I should say they are not active. But the decision is left with the consumer, the people.
Correct.
They know how active they are, and they know what they get from them.
True.
I don't have to say so. And then now, for example, if something happens, what can they do? You see, they can lodge a complaint, or they can what else? No, there are very controversial. There's another Sabrina must be asking very many questions in future on the current things, but the consumer has his limitations in doing so. Yes, and
is there a reason behind that, sir?
Yeah, there are. Oh, God, that's a
very broad question.
Yeah, no reason behind. It's a very difficult question, Sabrina. But I'll answer it. The reason behind this, I'll give you the catalogue of two things. First one is that the thing that I mentioned. That we blame others.
Correct.
We are to be blamed. Okay, we are to be blamed.
We have to accept it.
We have to be blamed. You must get ourselves organized. We should know our rights here. We must read it well. And you must, at least you can't get your children to do it. And then our people have a misconception that they shouldn't fight on it. They fight for useless things. But these are things that you should legitimately fight for.
This is the matter that we should be addressing.
This is your health, your wealth, your health, your children.
Your generation, your future.
And you eat poisons.
Very true.
You see, why do you eat poisons? Why don't you make complaints? Wherever you go, you get poisons, no? Go to PETA, what they say. Take, for example, apple. How long do they keep the apple? What is, you just pour some water on the apple.
Correct.
To see the outer cover. And where do they get it from? From Australia. Do you know in Sri Lanka is the best country for the best food and the very tasty food? Take banana.
For example.
Look, banana in London, there is only one variety of banana. I lived my life in UK. Only one variety of banana.
Just one?
Just one. You go to the market and see the type of banana we have got.
A variety.
Variety. So we are to be blamed. So we are very unfortunate what a country this is, which our people are not making use of it.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So I think we have a massive role to play over
Exactly,
here.
yes.
So I think we have to enlighten ourselves more and more by reading.
I tell you, Sabrina, there is a lot of people should have a role to play, including you. When you say media must do it. The students must do it. In every university you can have one. And everywhere you can have consumer organizations. So therefore, there is a job to do. There is a duty by so many, including media, including everybody.
By setting this up.
By setting up, but organizing themselves, by studying it, and then
knowing the real matters of it.
I'm so pleased, at least in the English media, I have been questioned, and I'm so pleased to do it. This is why I've done so much of work. I've written 2 books on this one. Every now and then I'm still active, and I'm very pleased and enjoying it.
And we are honored too, because we want to create awareness. At least let this be the start.
And I hope this message will go to the students, to the universities, to the youngsters, to the elderly. Everybody is affected.
Every citizen.
Every citizen is affected.
Whatever the age group.
Whatever the age group, yeah.
We have our third question to our distinguished guest who has joined us today, who is the President's Counsel, Mr. Sarath Wijesinghe. The Consumer Authority receives a wide range of complaints based on products and services. In your opinion, what's the objective of providing this service to the nation?
It is a right. It's a human right accepted by the UN and the worldwide. And it's your right. So it is the duty of the governance and for the regulator to provide with this right, to enjoy the right. And it is also the duty and the right of the citizen, which is the consumer, because in every consumer, every citizen is a consumer. So therefore, what is the object and why do? Now, there should be a place to take their grievances.
Correct.
So, and there should be a place for them to giving grievances as well as your propositions, your suggestions. So, which we have completely overlooked and neglected. I had been repeatedly saying earlier also that our job, our duties, we have not made use of ourselves to enjoy your duty that you are entitled to.
Exactly.
So here, this is meant for the people. This is meant for everybody of all age, especially the elderly and the youngsters who are vulnerable.
A special prominence has been given to these two age groups.
Now, I can talk for hours and hours. Take, for example, the advertisements.
To begin with.
What do you think we drink as milk?
Correct.
We don't drink real milk here.
It's not natural milk.
No, we are drinking sweetness, which is being used in other parts of the world. Take, for example, in the UK, or even New Zealand, or in Australia. Do they drink sweetness? No.
They don't.
They drink pure
fresh
milk. But we spend a lot of time on milk. And what are
assuming it's fresh.
And what about the advertisements? You see?
The message which is being delivered.
Right. And then I'm using this word very carefully. I'll not be prosecuted. Cola. Cola that is being used is poison. Pure poison. You see, all types of cola. But what do? We drink cola, spending about some 100 rupees.
Carbonated drinks.
What about, what about Tambili? What's the cost of a Tambili? It's only maximum 50 or whatever rupees. That's the best drink in the world.
Natural, 100%.
100%. So that is
prominence not given.
That's not given. So that is now for example, then the advertisements are promoting. I took only 2 classic examples, and the food. What do we eat? Junk. If you can, if this has been listened by youngsters or students, please write. My name is Sarath Wijesinghe, and then say Sarath Wijesinghe junk food. Then you will get a whole series of articles you can see. See, what we eat on the road is purely junk. Now, if you go to a hotel, any hotel for that matter, unless there are very selected hotels, what you eat is junk. And what about the food? Chicken? Where do you get chicken from? The chicken you get from chains in the UK or in other part of the world. I mean, please go to the internet and how the chicken is being prepared, or sausage is being prepared. It's sad really. Having seen that, I don't. I become a vegetarian, watching it. So what we get it from the chain, we are getting it here.
Naturally, that was
and then the advertisements.
True.
So therefore now we are in a heaven here. We are in a heavenly country with everything. All the fresh things are here.
Correct.
Now, what about this bad? This is festive day. You see now, if you can buy fresh things from the market.
Easily available.
Why do you go to a supermarket and buy it from the where it is kept for months and months? Point 1. Point 2, it is how cheap it is. And point 3, you must realize that you must know what to buy, where to buy, how to buy, and when to buy. Okay, that will give a lot of help for you to live free life, healthy life, and cheap life here. When to buy? You see, you should know when the period that things are can be stored, where to buy. Now, for example, I was living in UK for my life, and there's Selfridges is the best, most expensive place you go and buy an apple. And if you walk few yards away on the streets, I can buy the same thing. But that will be a fraction of what I have spent at Selfridges. So where to buy? Okay, and then you see, those are things that people should know about to reduce cost of living. So therefore, all these things are, Shabrina, these are interconnected. The consumerism, the cost of living, and the food, the chains, all these are interconnected. And it's these are things that people should be aware. And I am saying again that the media attention is not sufficient. For example, when I was the chairman, I shouldn't blow my own trumpet. But when I was the chairman Consumer Affairs, I ran three separate pages in papers from at that time English, Sinhala, and Tamil on consumerism. You see, and also I got youngsters to file cases against. And then the other thing is, I blame my young lawyers also, people who should be active, people who should be active in the public interest litigation. Take, for example, in India, how active they are. There's a separate consumer court over there. And the Supreme Court has allowing the youngsters to file cases on these errant traders and those people who are selling poisons. So this is a thing that everybody has a job to do. Everybody has a duty to do. Correct. Everybody has a capacity to do.
True.
Everybody can do, because it's a question of just giving little bit of time on this. By doing so, you are helping the society. You are helping the country. You are helping your children. You see,
you don't have to go far.
You are helping your kids and your parents. Because because in the end everybody is affected.
Exactly.
So the answer to your question, Sabrina, is that this is what it is for. But unfortunately, I had to be critical very carefully on the Consumer Affairs Authority.
True.
I should say it is not as active that we are expected to be.
So you mean to say there is more room to grow?
There's more room to go. They need that has to be changed.
Correct.
Immediately it has to be changed.
The system, you mean?
No.
The approach? The act. Mainly the act.
Has to be
prioritizing
changed.
that.
Concept have to be changed. Attitude have to be changed. And then
maybe the staff has got to be trained.
Definitely. And then special attention should be given to this area. But I can tell you, if you do it well, there's an answer to everything.
Exactly. There's a way.
There's a
will, there's a way.
Exactly.
They say.
Yes.
True.
No. What I say is, if you do it well, there is an answer to all these burning questions that is being discussed. Now, for example, I don't want to ponder myself into other areas like coconut oil.
for example, the talk of the town.
So I don't want to discuss that with Sabrina now. True. But
maybe on a different note, on a different day.
But what I say is, there is an answer to this one.
There is an answer.
If the Consumer Authority Act is really in operation, there's an answer to it. Now, for example, they have power to do it. Okay,
the entire right to do it.
They have the right to do it. They have power to do it. And then the other authorities, like the health authorities, and then checking authorities, they have a right. I don't, for some reason, they are not as active as we think they should be.
Unfortunately.
So, unfortunately.
You did elaborate on this, but just to touch on this note once again, sir, low nutrients food, better known as junk food, is linked to serious health problems. Kindly, could you take us through this evidence and elaborate on this, how it has an impact on a person's health?
Sabrina, I'll put the question to me again. I forgot earlier to tell you something, and thereafter I'll come to this one.
Sure.
This is the last question, but you see, you forgot to question me on the price control.
Price control, yes.
You see, the price control is a scenario that we had before 2003, like in the UK, I told you.
Exactly.
Where the prices of items are being priced.
Correct.
Every day you go to the shop and it is priced, which is not the case today. Today, it is done under regularization. For example, the concept is that you can price it at any price, provided it is price marked. It is price marked there. There's no control over there.
True.
Point one. At the same time, there are requirements that it has to be of certain standard. Okay, quality should be maintained, but the things are very, very vague there as well. Then I must tell you something about this price control.
Which was our second question. We are elaborating on that once again.
Price control can be made only in certain items where the minister feels there's a need. For example, maybe rice or maybe coconut or whatever it is. And then, of course, by a gazette notification, they can give the highest price, maximum price of it. That is why you can see all over in media that price of rice. That is the concept.
Right.
But having said that, now again coming back to it, the price control concept isn't there. To that extent. Now, for example, if there is a price control concept, then anybody now, forget about this present context.
Yes.
And then, like earlier, everything must be price control.
It is a necessity.
That has been the case earlier.
Previously.
That will be the case of if not for the Act for 2003 Act.
Right.
That's the case. You got the point.
I got the point. Yes. Very clear.
Which is happening still in the UK. Okay. Now, having said that, I can come to your question again. Last question. Read it again, please. I'll listen.
Can I speak to you with regard to these low nutrients? Yes. Because we were talking about the price control which was perceived.
Okay.
From that we move on to the nutrient fact once again.
Just remind
I'll just remind you. The low nutrients food, better known as junk food, is linked to serious health problems. So kindly we would like to hear the elaboration and the evidence on how it has an impact on a person's health.
I think I have answered you earlier on the junk food in detail. Low nutrient, of course, those are things that are within the ambit of the CAA Act, and also the health department, and also many other government and other institutions.
All right.
Other institutions. So I am repeating it again. It's a very sad thing that what we eat is not of the quality, and the real control is not being used by the CAA or any other institutions. And then I am repeating again that the governance itself is not to be blamed. We are to blame ourselves, and we should know what we drink and eat, and we should be alert. And we should be alert and alert consumers.
That is very important.
Very, very alert, educated consumers, point one. And at the same time, the trader also must be an honest, genuine trader, because the trader should know that if they are not honest, genuine,
correct,
and also if they give them people the unhealthy food, they won't go too far.
Their journey is short.
Short. And at the same time, the consumer should show their strength. Strength they don't show. And they say in the other part of the world that consumer is always right. I mean, consumer
that is how it's been mentioned.
Consumer makes no mistake. So that you should say that's an ideology.
That's kind of a concept that they are.
Well, but that shows that the trader, what the trader should show to the consumer. Okay, that has been the case in the other part of the world, but not here, unfortunately. Okay, not very many things, because now if you go to a shop in a foreign country, you can see how you are treated. But here, if you go to some people, if you go to the shop or somewhere, they look at you as an enemy. I mean, that's very wrong. Okay.
From a consumer's point of view, I feel, is it because that we are not very interested to make ourselves to get to know about these matters? Is it because of our letharginess?
Sabrina, there's a thing like this now. You see, you should know your rights, and also you should be friendly with them. I mean, you see, now I feel that there's some enmity between. When you go to a shop, you have some psychological inclination.
Correct.
That there is an enemy. The man earns a lot of money, and out of exploiting
mentality.
Exploiting me.
True.
And on the other hand, the trader is reluctant when their price is being when they make inquiries to reduce the prices. I mean, it's very sad to say that they don't like it, and some
very reluctant.
I have found that if I go to a shop and then if I make inquiries and go away, they are unhappy.
They are very unhappy.
That is very wrong. They should be happy somebody came to your shop and at least try. I mean, that's a very bad attitude. These are things who should train them. CAA, Consumer Affairs Authority must have. You see, Consumer Affairs Authority must have classes. During my time, I went right around the country, educating the children, the schools, and the traders, and the consumers. So that is their job.
You reached out to all these levels.
That's right, yes. Very sad story I read. Once I went to Matale. When I do work, I really work hard. So then I went to I was for a cup of tea to a shop. Climbed the steps and I said, "Lady Tamam, can I have a plain tea?" I like a plain tea. I never drink this cafe.
Nothing.
I never.
Stick to the Sri Lankan tea.
Sri Lankan tea, and that's the best tea in the world.
It regenerates you as well.
And then he said, "Matya tea nahe. Mana tea ne? Me tea no. We have got sini daapwa tea. Eka nam mate pa. Mata barida me. Can I have some milk, please? Liquid milk." Anima hatyo liquid milk ne. Piti tea no kila. I said, "No piti. What do you do with your milk, liquid milk?" What else? Can you beat it? I mean, is it not sad?
It is.
Matale in a small shop. So this is
a very shocking incident.
It's shocking incident.
So much to talk about, and it's a very, very interesting discussion, of course, and a very, very interesting personality who is enlightening us on many subjects with regard to the right of consumers who should be thorough with these areas. We are speaking and we are in conversation with President's Council, Mr. Sarath Wijesinghe. Moving on to a very important and a very interesting question, I presume. Please create awareness for us, Mr. Wijesinghe, by enlightening us on the categories of health, environment, and crucial services, which is our final question.
Sabrina, this is very important and crucial. Health is wealth. Well, it is been It comes under very other areas and categories. The drugs, the kinds of drugs, the various types of drugs, and the prices, and they are so complicated. That there are regulatory bodies as well. Being the Consumer Affairs being the regulatory body, I should say we are not very happy with what's happening on the regulation, with all the powers they have got. And I think there should be a network, and they must work together with the health authorities. The Consumer Affairs Authority must work with the others in this one, because
it's a joint teamwork.
It's a question of slow dying again of the nation. Is slow dying. Nation is slow dying with poison. Nation is slow dying with the vegetables and other things that are completely poisonous, you see. And nation is slow dying with the drugs that they take. And so it's I should say sad. That is the story of drugs. Okay, that has to be done extremely carefully. And we had some good eras earlier, but it's becoming worse now.
At present, it's a bit of a scary situation.
Exactly, a scary situation. That is with regard to drugs. The other one, just Sabrina,
which we were talking about, was with regard to the environment.
Well, it's environment. I think we should know. We do not know how important environment is to us.
Correct.
Now in UK or in other countries, environment has been given top priority, even in India. You see, even in the consumerism, everything is interconnected. Even to put up a house, you can't unless with the environment.
Randomly cannot
you
be
can't do. You have to add environmental. So environment, when we say it's complete, it's very broad, interconnected. And then, of course, if I start that topic, I can go to another topic. There's another important thing that I want to tell you about, this services.
The crucial services.
You see, the Consumer Affairs Authority is dealing not only with the consumer items, but with services. But when you service it's
linked.
My mind comes to it. When you say services, all the services come under, including my profession, even the lawyers. They have a right to have supervision over lawyers or the doctors. And what about the hospitals? You see,
important point to elaborate.
That's the most important point. That the hospitals are, I should say, charges are exorbitant prices. And I mean, when you admit somebody, and then the clock is clicking, and then you must then think of your property to sell, because you don't know. I mean,
what end it will.
You say every day it's a
cost component.
Cost component, and the other things also, and then it's a serious thing. So all that I want to say is that. That is also should be regulated. That service also come under. What about other services? What about insurance? Any service comes under the Consumer Affairs Authority. So therefore now
all these concerns are interlinked. But in dealing with other things, I say now the consumerism and consumer affairs are completely interlinked and interconnected, and such a broad area it is. And then it is the duty at the moment, I am repeating it again and again, that the government, of course the governance, I should say, I use the word governance instead of government for a particular reason, and then high time to do it, because if it is in the interest of the nation, in the interest of your kith and kins, your children, your parents, it has to be done from word go. From when you start the life, you look at what is being given to the child. True.
You look at the things that are given to him. The water. To begin with, what is? My gosh, you see water. What do we drink now? What do we drink as bottled water? Do you know that what we drink? I mean, what is the guarantee that what is being given is just tap water?
Even though many certifications are labeled.
And do you know how easy to get a certification? You see, and you know that we have you know how foolish we are. Why
Gullible.
can't no? Why do you got plastic bottles? Foolish, no? After some time you become poisoned. Why can't you use glass? Why can't you boil some water? Take the glass. I mean, it's a style that it is. Please boil water, cool it, and then take it in a glass.
Everything is labeled as fancy.
My
and
gosh!
trendy.
See, go to now when I organize a seminar, I never use bottled water. I always say to show others, keep glass bottles over there. So these are things that you have
Simple matters, but it has a massive impact.
Massive impact. So therefore now these are things, this needs discussion, please.
It does.
Single paper, please. At least I hope this will go to the people.
As well, true.
Okay, to adapt yourself and to please come down from the tower. You see.
And regular awareness campaign.
Awareness campaign is the most important. Please go to students. They should know it. Yeah. You see this, I feel angry when the students, they drink the cola and then they crush it as a style. What a pity it is.
That's exactly what I said. Everything has become a fashion, a trend, but they do not know that there's a massive gravity behind it.
Take cola and put it to the windscreen. It washes. Cola is, so poisonous it is.
And we happily consume.
Happily consume and crush it as a style. Okay, so it's a pity.
State of affairs,
it's
but
a pity.
I don't think there is always a no. We can always wake up.
Why not?
Get ourselves.
Wake up for your own benefit. And benefit of your child.
Correct.
Or your father.
We are making our society even much more stronger.
Definitely.
A wonderful discussion, of course. Wish we can talk and keep elaborating on these over and over again, but time is a factor that we have to bear in mind. So we sincerely do thank you, Mr. Wijesinghe, for taking a valuable time off to come and speak to us today on 11th Hour. So consumer affairs, policies and concerns for the general public to be aware of, and there is a necessity to get familiarized with certain concerns on such. So we sincerely thank President Council Mr. Sarath Wijesinghe for being so humble and accepting our invitation today to enlighten us on these concerns, which was a very productive discussion. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Wijesinghe, for joining us.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you so much.
Pleasure was ours.